Oh, he's working it back. Plenty of height and depth, and again. But surely Samsonov's got him where he wants him. He's bringing everything back. He's almost on the floor. Oh, you can't believe it. Oh my goodness. This is the rally of the competition. Oh, what a point. Jean-Michel Saive raises his hand, the crown. Well, unbelievable retrieving from the Belgian player.
It's there, and Saive has won the European title.
There we go, guys. Welcome to Table Tennis Sunday Live with myself, Ryan. We've got a living legend on today. He's given up his time to be with us. Jean-Michel Saive. Obviously, those clips we saw there, capture exactly what type of player and what type of fighter you were. So many great achievements. I'm going to list a few now, but before I do, I'll let the guys introduce themselves as well. So.
I'm John Murphy. Thanks, Ryan, for the introduction. Johnny, I have to say it's a pleasure to have you on as our first guest. Obviously, this is a new show, and last week was our first episode, and we thought of no one better to have as our first guest. Obviously, complete legend of our sport, and really looking forward to hearing your experience and your thoughts today.
Welcome, Jean-Mi. My name's Keith Knox. Truly inspired to have you part of our show. I grew up with my brother, similar to yourself with your brother playing, and you inspired countless hours of me playing table tennis, so it's truly a great privilege to have you part of the show today.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks. I'm proud and happy to be there with you today. Yeah.
How does it feel, Johnny, watching those clips back?
Well, it's nice. It's nice to watch those games. Some fantastic because I know there are some happy hands. Some I know there are some not happy hands, like against Toriola in Beijing in 2008. He played really a fantastic game, as we saw on that point. Then, of course, the big victory with Wallner in the Europeans when we were at that time number 1 and number 2 and leading the world ranking, in fact. So the Europeans were. I don't say greater than today, but at that time, Europe was at the top of the world.
Certainly was. And I'm just going to list now some of the things that you've done in your career. Obviously, there's so many, but I've captured the main ones that I see.
7 Olympic Games when table tennis came in 1988 up until 2012. And in 2 of those games, in 96 and 2004, you were the flag bearer for Belgium. How did that feel? Having all your fellow athletes behind you when you were walking in the stadium?
Well, I think this is the strongest image. I mean, when you are small kids and you look at the Olympic Games, the first thing you see is the opening ceremony with the flag bearer in front of all the delegation. So it was a great honor for me to be chosen in '96, and I was hoping that I could be the flag bearer in '96. In 2004, I have to say it was totally a big surprise. I was still at home, and it was Justine and I was supposed to be the flag bearer, but she had a match the next day. So she decided, and they decided together that she would focus on her game and not to go to the opening ceremony. So they called me. I was still in Belgium, and then they fixed a place in the plane. So I took the flight. In fact, on the day of the opening ceremony in Belgium, I was lucky enough. It was in Athens, so not that long trip, but. I just arrived, and behind me they closed the door of the village before going to the opening ceremony. So the second time was really amazing because totally unexpected.
Fantastic. 1994, we saw the clip European champion. That was the first major championships that I was part of in '94. So that was the first image I saw, Jean-Michel Saive winning European championship. And then obviously that inspired me greatly. World number one for 515 days. From the 9th of February 94 to the 8th of June 95, and then again 26th of March 96 until 24th of April 96. 515 days at the top of the world. How did that feel?
Yeah, this was really crazy. I was running after that place after several big, let's say, finals, because I was in the finals in the Europeans in '92 against Roscoff. And then against Gatien, '93 in the World Championship. So I was always close. I was like 4-3-2 in the world ranking. And in 1993, '94, I mean, Valdi was like really, really strong. I beat him in '93 in the semifinal, but '92 he won Olympic Games. And then for a few months, he won like every big tournament. So when I reached the number one of the world after winning the top 12 in '94 in Arezzo, it was like a dream, a strongest moment. And if you remember, the world ranking system that time was really hard because when you had a loss, it cost really a lot of points. So it was really, really hard. And I like to play it, so I played quite a lot. And so to stay like more than 500 days in a row on the top in front of Wallner, Garcia, Roscoff, and the Chinese, because sometimes they say, yeah, this generation was not so strong, but if you remember Wang Tao Mawenge he won 2 World Cup. He was a very strong Chinese, and he played really, really long. So yeah, this is for me the biggest achievement in my career.
Well, I remember defeats did hurt badly on the world ranking, and that's why I was 175. I couldn't get higher than 175. But, yeah. 1994 top 12 winner in Italy. World silver medal 93, World Cup silver medal in 1994 and 2003, and then obviously the World Team silver, which we saw you and your brother running around there in Japan. Myself, I think John, you were there as well watching that in the stands. Is that right, John?
No, not quite. No, I wasn't at that one. I think my first real memory on me was probably when you played in Aarhus and you managed to get to the final of the Europeans against Samsonov, and obviously we've seen some clips there, but yeah, that was probably my first introduction to seeing you really, really live. While I played in Aarhus was my first European Championship, so yeah, that was
the longevity of great results as well, isn't it? There's such a big period of getting to finals and being at the pinnacle of the sport. Belgian Sports Personality of the Year, 91 and 94. Sports Personality of the Year. How did that feel?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, 91 was, it could seem to be early, but I reached already the semi-final of the World Cup with Belgium. We were also in semi-final in the World Championship. I reached top 10 in the world. I played the final of the Swedish Open against Appelgren that year. So, yeah, it was amazing to be in front of all big cyclists, soccer player, other top athletes. And okay, 94, this was, of course, my best year. I nearly won every tournament except the World Cup, in which I had a match ball against Gatien, but this was European Masters, European Top 12, European Championships, Champions League, European League with Belgium. I was really, really on the top. So yeah, this is amazing. And at that time, all the matches from Village Charleroi in the European Cup, and with the national team, they were live on TV. So I have to say that my generation in Belgium, we were quite popular because we had results and because the match was seen on TV. So it helps a lot, of course.
Well, another couple of things that I picked out on the internet, and you can tell me if they're right or wrong. Your father was number 10 in Belgium as a player.
Yeah,
and your
that's right,
mother
71.
And your mother won the doubles championships, and she was pregnant at the time with yourself. Is that true?
Yeah, this is why I say I'm the only player who have a title in the two genders. So by the woman even before I was born, but I was pushing her on the short ball.
Brilliant, brilliant. Last week we spoke about how good players become great. Obviously, you can give us your view on that. And John's got the first question to kick that off.
Yeah, Johnny, just the question: how did you go from being a good player, I suppose, a player who was at that level, maybe making his way in the international game, to become the great player that you did become, winning all those titles as we discussed, and becoming the player that you did become? Where did that transition come?
I think I have to say quite early, because I was playing in the national team already when I was 13 years old. I was number 4 in Belgium, and that year in the first league in Belgium I had like 90% of victory, and I lost in the European Championships cadet in the last 16. But Milan German from Czechoslovakia at that time was the current European champion, so he stayed one more year cadet. And if I wanted to try to beat him, I had to move and to go to another country to play the league. So I went to play in Germany. It's not far for me. It was like 80 kilometers from home. So I have to thank my parents. They were driving me and my brother 3 times a week to go there and practice and to reach another level. And after 1 year playing in second Bundesliga, I had 50% of victory, but the practice with the first team was possible in Jülich. And then, I beat German in the final of the European Championship Cadets 1 year later. So this was my first step and my first belief that I could, fight with the best Europeans of my age. And still that time, we didn't have really a coach in Belgium. So this is only after 84 that Milan Stenzel arrived in Belgium and that we started to have an organized practice. So my organized practice in Belgium only started when I was my first year junior. So I think all came with the self-confidence and believing that it was possible to fight with the best European players. And then it was goal by goal in cadets, and then in junior, and then of course in senior, and then it went on.
So we talked about the environment that you need yourself, and you said your personal goals in terms of going from stage to stage. But the people around you have to believe as well. Obviously you had that, but can you describe that?
Of course, because our parents, they were table tennis players, both of them. I think they understand it, they understood and they understand it how it was. I think they always helped Philippe and me, and they also saw in our eyes that we were, hungry to go on and try to improve step by step. Maybe it makes it a little bit easier for them as well when you have your child and you see that they really want to improve weekend by weekend, and then when you drive them to the competition and 90% of the time you come back with the cup and the winning prize, then it's easier for the parents also. And I think they were like the first, I don't like to say supporter or fan, but the first people who helped us really to go left and right, to practice and to go to competition. And then when the results are there, of course, the motivation is there. And then you just want to improve step by step and then to the next level and so on.
And talking about belief, obviously, you've got fantastic self-belief. Can you believe that you have went on to take part in and be really, really successful in 7 Olympic Games, more than most competitors across any sport? That's a phenomenal feat. Which is your favorite Olympic Games, and why would you say so?
Of course, when I was that young, I never believed that I would have such a long career, because everybody said that I spend so much energy behind the table, that I have a very physical game, that I'm running so much behind the table, and at that time nearly everything was the forehand and step around. So many people said, okay, we'll have a short career because he will lose some energy in one moment. But I always try to put the Olympic Games like a goal, in the midterm, like 4 years to 4 years. So this was a challenge. And then in the meantime, of course, you have many other tournaments and competition. To choose one Olympics is very difficult because they are all different. And in the end, I always take the first one because it was like a dream when I was a small child, when I watched Olympic Games with Nadia Comaneci in 76 or Carl Lewis in 84. Table tennis was not part of the game that time, so I was like disappointed. And then when table tennis arrived in the game in Seoul in 88, this was like a dream and it was possible. So, but it was nearly, let's say, a miracle for me to qualify for Seoul, because in the European qualification, I had to beat 5 guys who were better ranked than me to qualify, and I did it. And in the last big game, I beat Carl Preen, and I think I was down to 2-15-8 in the last game, but then I managed to win, I think, 25-23. And so I got my ticket, and then it was the beginning of a fantastic journey.
Excellent. We've said you are an inspiration for us, along with Volner and Gatien and Roscoff and these players. Who was your inspiration when you were younger?
Difficult to say, because with our parents, we went to see the first European Championships in 80 in Bern, when I would say, little bit surprisingly, John Hilton won in very special circumstances with this one color black rubber with anti-spin and in this windy ice skating hall. But nevertheless, I had the signature from all the top players. I don't know. I like Orlovsky. I like Secretin. I like Klamper. I like all of them. When we went back, we had a table at home, and my brother and me, we tried to copy the players. We tried to copy Klamper, Jonny, Secretin, Hilton.
Well, I saw John trying to copy you just before we came on air. John, you rolling your shorts up really high, just to copy on me.
Special short.
Brilliant.
I have a shoot today. Sorry, I can't do it.
That's it. I'm out of here. I'm finished. I was only here to keep shorts. But no. We'll move on.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Jean-Michel, tell us what. And I think you alluded to it earlier on, but what is the biggest highlight of your career? If you had to say, where did you get the most satisfaction of winning which competition or which accolade or for you?
When I answer this question, I always pick up the European top 12. I was number 2 in the world ranking. I lost the years before the final of Europeans and World Championships, and I didn't want to lose again in a big final one more time. And I knew before the match, if I could win, then I would become world number 1. So when I won against Valdi 3-2, that match, this is the only time in my career when I went back to the dressing room that I couldn't get back my breath. So I was like even in panic and like afraid. I was, but I think because I was, it was too much, emotional for me that time. Of course, when you won the 1 month later, the Europeans, in the mind of the people, top 12 is great, or it was greater, I would say, before when it was really top 12. Now I think the level of the competition, how they do it, it's different. But many people say, okay, he won a tournament, but not one of the major ones. So even if I was ranked number 1 and Wallner number 2, still everybody believed that time that Wallner was the big favorite. So it was nice to play against him in the final and to show to the world that I deserve that place and that I won a big major.
Yeah. And like every sport, there's some great rivalries. Like in tennis, we have Federer, we have Nadal. In your sort of career coming forward, you had quite a lot of top rivalries. You had Waldner, Kong, Gatien, Primorac, Roscoff, Persson. Who would you say is your greatest rivalry?
Oh, it's difficult. It's really really difficult to say. My two biggest title, top 12, I would say, and Europeans, I beat Wallner in the final. So this is like beating Federer or Nadal in other sport and winning. But Valdi, it's like I think 4.5 years older than me. So if I have to take more, I would take guys from my generation like Gatien, Primorac, Roscoff, because we are from the same year. So I would pick up them instead of Wallner. Wallner, it was like different because when you played him, you had like nothing to lose. It was like apart, above all of us. So not so much pressure to play against him. You could play free, but he was just a genius. And after, of course, came so many Chinese. I mean, even before I played against Guo Yehua and I played against Malone. So this is amazing how many Chinese I compete against.
But I remember there was a period with Wallner where you had him in terms of he couldn't beat you for a period. I can't remember the exact figures, but around 94, 95, you were beating him quite regular, would you, around that time?
I think apart Jürgen Persson, who has a really good results and statistic with Yeo, I think I was the European who has the best score. I was one moment really, really close to 50-50 with him. Mm-hmm. Because I could receive quite okay his half long service. I could start and then try to push him back and run with my forehand everywhere.
So my statistics against him were not that bad, quite good, but you know, he was the best anyway.
Well, he's on in a few weeks, so we'll ask him. Maybe he'll say you were his great rival as well when we ask him the same question.
It would be an honor for me.
Right. How influential was Coach Wang in your progress to world number one?
I think I was very lucky in my career that I had from, let's say, 85 till 89, Milan Stenzel, who came in Belgium. And he was a really, really hard coach. You know, mentally, he was hard with the group of the player. But I think it was in the right time for us because we were teenager from 15 to 19, and he pushed us and we learned a lot. And after, when he left, I think we all could practice alone, let's say without a coach, because he managed the discipline and we learned that. And then when he left, arrived Mr. Wang. And Mr. Wang was, of course, a total different... he has a totally different personality.
And I would say this was more specific things, small details, more on service, receive. And as he was Chinese, I think he gave me the confidence that they are also human beings with feelings. Maybe we don't see it so much, but they are also like, they have to win. They are also afraid. And then it gave me the confidence that it's possible to beat them. And this is how, step by step, I was 40 when Mr. Wang arrived, and then step by step we had some results till the first place of the world.
I was told by a reliable source that he's great at magic.
Mr. Wang, he's got a very fast sleight of hand. Is that true?
Yeah. He's with cards, he's unbelievable. He's like David Copperfield.
And then Milan Stenzel. I knew Milan when he was coaching the French team. So he's coaching Armand Fung. I was coaching Terry Young. I think it was the Swedish Open or something. And I had to stop Terry Young and Milan Stenzel going outside to fight each other because there was a bit of discussion about Terry's serve. So I had to calm things down. It was getting a little bit heated. So he's a very passionate man, isn't he, Milan?
Yes. With of course a very, very strong character. So I know that for I would say some people which are maybe mentally a little bit more weak, I would say it's difficult to pass with him. I know some players it was too much, but if you understood that it was for you interest, then you pass over this, let's say, passion and reaction from Milan. But he was just pushing the athletes to try to reach another level. If you understood this, then you fit with him. If you thought okay, he's just too hard, some people didn't like him. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. I suppose it's an interesting question, I think, and I would like to also hit on this question. I'd also like to hear from Ryan and Keith, because they're both in a similar situation to you. What was it like playing with Philippe, your brother, in the same team? And I know Ryan and Keith also played with their brothers, so it's a I suppose it's a question for everybody. But if we have your answer first, Johnny.
So I need to go to a red sofa and to speak to a psychologist and to tell all the story, and then you should ask my brother as well the same. No, on one side it's just great and fantastic. I would say first for our parents, because they don't have to drive from one sport to another sport, from table tennis to basketball or whatever, so it makes it a little bit easier. And then for Philippe and me also easier, because time to time we could practice together. And then to win the European League with your brother in the team, it's just fantastic. To beat China in Belgium home, it's fantastic with your brother. To reach the second place in the World Championship after beating Sweden with your brother, it's fantastic. And on the other side, to play the final of the Belgium Championships, 10 times against each other in the final, it's between fantastic and a nightmare, because it's against your little brother. He wants to win, you want to win. Your parents, they can't show one that they are so happy, and they can't show the other one that they are, totally unhappy. And sometimes it's also difficult, because when it's your let's say colleagues or partner who is playing, emotionally it's hard, but when it's your brother, it's even stronger. So when it's 19-0 for your brother, your heart is going so fast, and when you have to play a few minutes later, it's not easy. Or when you play individual competition and you pick up the ball and your brother is playing next table, of course you look the results to know how much it is. So I think we have been through so many different things that it was fantastic. Of course, sometimes difficult, because when we play against each other, it's not the best match. But in the end of the career, it's just amazing that we have achieved so much together.
I'll let you speak, Keith. You can tell your story if you want first.
Well, I think it's quite unique, because as you were saying about the parents, getting involved, and they can't show favoritism one kid over the other. I think that was quite unique, because John used to always tease me that that Jervis had to let me win, and it's just to stop arguments and rivalries in the house. So it was quite funny, but at the same time, it's quite a good thing to have, because I was able to to practice with my older brother. He was 2 years older, so I was able to practice with him every day, from 9 years old. I think because I was younger, I do feel like I had a greater benefit, because I always had a role model and an inspiration to look towards. So also I think then you get to that level quicker, and I think once you get to that level quicker, the opportunities come your direction. Personally, from a younger being 2 years younger, but I know, Ryan, for you it was slightly opposite.
Oh yeah, I can compare it to Jean-Mi. I used to have to push my brother all the time, and it'd be great in this time in lockdown if I had my brother practicing with me. That'd be fantastic. But watching his matches, my heart be going and clapping for him, and I would have to go on the next match then and try and deliver, because you invested your time in his match, and then you got to invest your time in your match. But playing each other in the final of the Welsh Championships many times, and it's always nice to have the winner's trophy when you're coming back in the car. Bit of this, nothing wrong with that.
Brilliant. I'm just yeah, go ahead, John.
Just to confirm that is true. I did witness the match that Jervis let you win. So just to confirm to our listeners that it is a true statement that he did let you win.
So it was funny, because I believe Jean-Mi, Colin Slevin quite well.
Yes.
And he was there, and I think he also verified that story.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, just
Yeah, I played several times with him. I played even him 93 first or second round in when I reached the final of the World Championships, and of course before when Belgium was in the same category as him. So it was a rival at that time.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know, obviously, you know, it was around this time last year you obviously retired, and you know what an amazing career to look back on. If you were to look back on and reposition yourself back into one match to have another go at it, which match would you put yourself back into?
You mean if I want to change, or if I want
If you want
to
to
be again in
change,
that field?
or if you want to relive it, you know, for you know the amazing performances, or if you wanted to relive it to change it.
Okay, let's say the positive things. I don't know. I will surprise you. I would take because now the situation would be different because it would be live on TV or on streaming. I would take China Open that I won in '93. I think I was the first non-Chinese to win China Open '93, and I beat all three Chinese first three quarterfinal, semi-final, final. I was alone without any coach, and I don't have one picture, one image of that now. And I think it would be even bigger today if people could if people could see it. So I would not go to top 12 or Europeans, but that moment, because it was just incredible. It was full hall, and people, they were like quiet. They were like totally astonished how it's possible that these Belgian guys, he beat like Lulin and Wang Tao and Ma Wenge, you know, three best Chinese in a row. And so I would take that match.
Amazing.
And the other one, I don't want to sing again about it. No, I will take I will not take the final of the World Cup, of the World Championship, because anyway, it's great results, even if I lost. But I've been to 7 Olympics, and this is the only competition where I don't have medal. So if I could replay the quarterfinal against Corbel in '96, and hopefully win, then then I would change. It was crazy because I was playing really, really well until the quarterfinal. I didn't lose any game. I had Peter Franz Florea in the group. Then I beat Zoki Primorac 3-0 really easy in the last 16. But then for the first time, because of the schedule, it was one day off between last 16 and quarter, which normally you never see. You have this between team and singles, but not in the middle of the single competition. And I didn't go to practice. I had a little bit pain on my shoulder, so I lost a little bit my rhythm. And then Corbel, I played always hard, like 50-50 against him. So he started very well. I couldn't enter the game, and then too fast. That's it.
Very good.
Well, we've come to the end, but before we leave you go, Jean-Mi, and thank you very much for expanding on all your thoughts and knowledge. We've got a task that we're going to ask each guest. So you're the head coach, and you can choose yourself, but it has to be players from different countries, to choose 3 men and 3 women who would be in your...
Oh, I think Ryan has been disconnected a little bit. I'll follow up.
Yeah.
So 3 men, 3 women, different countries, any generation. Who's in your team?
Oh, sorry guys, I don't know what happened there. What happened?
I think you disconnected.
You didn't get selected in Jean-Mi's team.
How far did I get?
Yeah. No, internet didn't want you to finish the last question.
You can edit that.
Okay,
Jonny.
3 players, 3 different generation, and from the world or Europe, or I just go from Europe?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, your choice.
Okay, if I go only European, I would say Waldner, Samsonov, and okay, I should say Timo, but then I will say Gatien. Okay. And but of course but of course it's difficult to leave on the side Malone, Wang Liking, and Fan Zhendong. I mean, maybe my choice is not so smart. They are great players, but to leave on the side Malone, Fan Zhendong, Wang Liking. But let's say, okay, we are European and we fight, and we put Liu Guoliang as number 4, me as number 4, and we fight. Come on, let's go.
Brilliant.
And for women?
For women, Deng Yaping was unbelievable. Ding Ning, but then I would say as European from my generation, then I would take Krizakov. Batorfi was amazing, was with her service. And I would take one more now from this generation. Soch.
Fantastic.
Cool. Big
Brilliant.
fighter.
Well,
But Soch is for entertainment, you know. We have to
For
pick
the
up
scream.
a bit different.
Yeah. Johnny, thank you very much for joining us today on Sunday and giving up your time. I know you're busy. You're busy doing so many things with decathlon and everything else with the Olympic Committee and different things. You've got a big bike race or bike session later on that you've told us about. Thanks for giving up your time. Really appreciate it, guys. Can we put our hands together for Jean-Mi? Say thanks.
Legend. Thank you very much, Jonny.
Thanks a lot. It was my pleasure as well. I
Thanks a
enjoyed
lot.
doing it.
See you
Good.
soon.
Take care.
Thank
All
you,
the best.
Johnny.
Good
See you
luck.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Wow, boys, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh, what a guy, yeah. What a legend. Giving up his time, so enthusiastic, so knowledgeable, really. And it's good hearing the insights, isn't it, to how he felt at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, you can really see how much he loves table tennis, and I think that's my memory of him. I remember when I went into the practice hall. I know, Ryan, you said it was '94 for you. I think it was probably 2004 for me in Qatar World Championships, and he was one of the legends, obviously, the game at that stage. And just seeing his desire and you know, he wanted to win every ball, even just in the practice hall. And I think that came out for me in his interview tonight. You know, I just think the love that he has for the game and the competitor that he is, you know, he still remembers all those memories like it was yesterday.
I'll tell you what he is good at is when you're in the hall around him, practice hall or the playing arena, and he'll always say hello to you. And I played in Belgium a few years, so I got to know him a little bit better through that way. But even before that, he was always ready to have a chat or say hello. And that's the type of guy he is, really. You know, being a youngster, like I said, my first championship was '94. And as you would as a young guy, just, you know, staring at these top players. And but then obviously to interview him later on is a great
It's
thing for
funny
myself.
because I grew up with VCR tapes, and one of the tape that we had was him. You know, I think it was against Samsonov at the time, and you know, think of the amount of people he has inspired with his physicality and the rolling up of the shorts, and you know, he's just such a complete warrior, a fighter, and you know, it's amazing to hear his perspective and you know, things that you know made the difference for him. And I think going forward, you know, it could tweak the way we coach, and you know, personally for me, there's definitely things there that I've learned and I'm hoping to take forward.
Well, obviously some of the clips we showed was him, you know, back off the table, getting the ball back and being spectacular. But I remember the way he used to play, he was so ferocious, getting his forehand in from everywhere. His legs are huge, serve, and he was in with his forehand all the time. The back end then developed greatly as the career moved on as well. But he was such an all-round player, wasn't he, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on it there. Forehand runner, and he said it himself. You know, that was his game. But you know, when I came in playing international tournaments, you know, as you say, his backhand was really good, his block was really good, his half long was really good. So he obviously developed and you know made those parts of his game really good. So I have to say, for me, probably one of my favorite players and the complete player. You know, so yeah, really thrilled to hear him and hear what he had to say.
Fantastic.
Well, I played him about 2 or 3 years ago in the Belgian league, and I know he was way past his best then, but it was one of the best matches I've been involved in. You know, the feeling I got playing him. I didn't beat him, obviously. That would have been great to say you beat him. Never mind if he was coming to the latter part of his career. but that was one of the matches that stood out for me, and I watch it back on YouTube from time to time. So it's a spectacular match. Yeah, he's a legend, boys. Good. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks very much, boys.
Yeah, next week we've got another character coming over to our screens. Johnny Cowan of the ITTF. Obviously, Johnny's going to be discussing some of the new developments with the ITTF and the Grand Smashes and all the other things that are coming our way from the ITTF. And Johnny as the voice of world table tennis once he was called. It's going to be good to have Johnny on.
Absolutely. Here's a wee
I'm going to be overawed. 3 Irishmen having a go at me. What's going to happen then next week, boys?
Oh, I tell you, crazy.
What are you talking about, Ryan? I'm wearing an Australian shirt.
Yeah, right. Well, we look forward to Johnny next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We've had a good laugh this week. John Muir has been great, and we can't wait till next Sunday. So stay safe, take it easy, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, boys. See you later.
Absolutely. As the sport ripples and really starts to achieve its high standards that we know it can and its reach, everybody's picked up a bat at some point. So ITTF and all partners involved trying to take the game, build out the pyramid, the performance pyramid and the participation pyramid, and then for our events to make them super duper top level events